The Rabbit Hole Chronicles. Episode 4. UFOs and Government Cover-Ups. November 14th, 2004. Commander David Fravor of the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group encounters something that shouldn't exist. A white, tic-tac shaped object with no wings, no exhaust, no visible propulsion. According to radar, it drops from 80,000 to 20,000 feet in less than a second. It mirrors his FA-18's movements, then vanishes, only to reappear 60 miles away moments later. For decades, encounters like this were dismissed. Weather balloons, swamp gas, Venus, mass hysteria. But something changed. The Pentagon officially releases Navy videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena. A government whistleblower testifies before Congress about recovered non-human craft. Polls show 68% of Americans now believe the government is hiding information about UFOs. After 75 years of denial, ridicule, and cover-ups, the United States government is finally admitting what millions have suspected all along. They're real. They're here, and we have no idea what they are. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm your host, and today we're venturing beyond the boundaries of conventional thought into the most explosive revelation of our time. UFOs are real. The government admits it. So what have they been hiding for 7 decades? And more importantly, why? This isn't your typical conspiracy theory episode, because here's the thing, it's not a theory anymore. In 2020, the Pentagon released videos of objects performing maneuvers that defy our understanding of physics. In 2023, a government whistleblower testified under oath to Congress about recovered non-human biologics. The Senate Majority Leader is pushing legislation demanding disclosure of all UFO records. We've gone from weather balloon to unidentified anomalous phenomena in official government speak, from Project Blue Book's systematic debunking to Congress grilling Pentagon officials about crash retrieval programs. Today, we're tracing this incredible journey. From the first modern sighting in 1947 to yesterday's headlines, from ridicule to revelation, from trust no one to okay, we'll tell you. Some of it. Buckle up, because this rabbit hole goes deeper than you think. The day the saucers arrived. June 24th, 1947. Private pilot Kenneth Arnold is flying near Mount Rainier, Washington, searching for a crashed military transport. Instead, he sees something that will change history. 9 objects, moving in formation at speeds he calculates between 1,200 and 1,700 miles per hour. The fastest jets of the era topped out around 600. Arnold describes their movement as like a saucer if you skip it across water. The press runs with it. Flying saucers enter the lexicon. Within weeks, sighting reports flood in from across the country. The modern UFO era has begun. But it's what happens 2 weeks later that really sets the stage for everything to follow. July 8th, 1947. Colonel William Blanchard, commanding officer of the 509th Bomb Group, the only atomic bomb group in the world at that time, authorises a press release that makes headlines worldwide. RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. Let that sink in. The military unit entrusted with America's nuclear arsenal announces they've recovered a flying disc. Within 24 hours, it's retracted. Brigadier General Roger Ramey parades weather balloon debris before photographers. Case closed. Nothing to see here. Except, in the 1980s, Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who first examined the debris, breaks his silence. The weather balloon story? Complete fabrication. The material he handled that night was unlike anything he'd seen. Metal that wouldn't burn, wouldn't cut, and would return to its original shape when crumpled. The government's response. In 1994, they finally admit the truth. Sort of. It wasn't a weather balloon. It was Project Mogul, a classified program using high-altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. So they lied for 47 years about a crashed balloon. What else might they be lying about? This establishes the pattern. An extraordinary event occurs. The military's first instinct is transparency. Higher powers intervene. The story changes. Witnesses are silenced. And decades later, we get a partial truth that raises more questions than it answers. The projects. By late 1947, the US military realises they have a problem. These flying saucers aren't going away. Credible witnesses, pilots, military personnel, scientists, keep reporting objects that outmaneuver anything in our arsenal. Enter the projects. Project Sign, 1947 to 1949. The Air Force's first systematic UFO investigation starts with genuine scientific inquiry. General Nathan Twining's initial assessment is startling. The phenomena are real and not visionary or fictitious. The project scientists allegedly prepare a top-secret estimates of the situation, concluding UFOs are extraterrestrial. When it reaches Air Force Chief of Staff General Hoyt Vandenberg, he rejects it for lack of proof. The document is reportedly destroyed. No copies have ever surfaced. But something shifts. Project Sign becomes Project Grudge, 1949 to 1951. The name says it all. Captain Edward Ruppelt, who later ran Blue Book, called it the Dark Ages of UFO investigation. The mission? Debunk everything. Witnesses are ridiculed. Sightings are explained away regardless of evidence. The goal isn't investigation, it's making the problem disappear. It doesn't work. Reports keep coming. Public pressure mounts. So they try again. Project Blue Book, 1952 to 1969. This is the big one. 12,618 UFO reports investigated. Here's the number that matters. 701 remain officially unexplained. Not probably Venus. Not possibly aircraft. Unexplained. The project's scientific consultant, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, undergoes a fascinating transformation. He starts as a skeptic, hired to find astronomical explanations for sightings. But the more he investigates, the more troubled he becomes. In 1966, Hynek investigates sightings in Michigan. Under pressure to provide an explanation, he suggests swamp gas. The public reaction is volcanic. Congress demands hearings. And for the first time, Hynek publicly breaks ranks, telling Congress that some UFO reports deserve serious scientific study. But here's what's really interesting about these projects. In 1953, the CIA convenes the Robertson Panel to assess the UFO situation. They examine just 23 cases out of thousands available. Their conclusion: UFOs aren't a threat, but public interest in them is. Their recommendations are chilling. Launch a debunking campaign. Use Disney. Monitor civilian UFO groups for subversive purposes. Not investigate the phenomena, control the narrative. And for decades, that's exactly what they do. Area 51 and the Lazar Affair. While Project Blue Book keeps the public busy with official investigations, something else is happening in the Nevada desert. Area 51. For decades, the government won't even acknowledge it exists. Maps show empty desert. Workers are flown in on unmarked planes. The airspace is so restricted that even military pilots who stray too close face court-martial. What are they hiding? In 2013, the CIA finally admits what everyone already knew. Area 51 is real. It's where they tested the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 stealth fighter. Mystery solved, right? Not quite. Because in 1989, a physicist named Bob Lazar goes on Las Vegas television with an extraordinary claim. He says he worked at S4, a facility near Area 51, reverse engineering recovered alien spacecraft. 9 different disks, he claims, each using gravity propulsion powered by element 115. An element that didn't officially exist yet. The government's response is swift and brutal. Lazar's educational records disappear. Los Alamos denies he worked there until a phone directory surfaces with his name. His life unravels. Arrests, raids, constant surveillance. Here's what's fascinating. In 2003, scientists synthesize element 115, now called moscovium. It doesn't behave like Lazar described, but the fact he named a then unknown element gives believers pause. More intriguingly, in 2019, the Pentagon confirms they've been studying exotic materials from UFOs. Lazar's descriptions of how these craft move, belly forward, instantaneous acceleration, match what Navy pilots are now reporting. Is Lazar telling the truth? The evidence is murky. His education claims don't check out. He's been caught in lies, but he's also been remarkably consistent about technical details for over 30 years, never capitalizing on his fame the way most hoaxers do. What's undeniable is that Area 51 represents something deeper, a place where the government tests technologies so advanced they seem alien. Whether that's because they are alien or because human innovation happens behind walls of secrecy, the result is the same, a breeding ground for conspiracies that sometimes turn out to be true. The encounters that changed everything. For decades, UFO encounters were isolated incidents. A pilot here, a farmer there, easy to dismiss individually. But then came the cases that changed everything. The Rendlesham Forest Incident, December 1980. US military personnel at RAF Woodbridge in England report a triangular craft in the forest. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Column Charles Holt leads the investigation and makes a real-time audio recording describing beams of light coming from the object and penetrating the weapons storage area where nuclear weapons are kept. The craft allegedly leaves physical traces, broken branches, triangular impressions, radiation levels 10 times normal background. The official explanation? The nearby Orford Ness Lighthouse. Military personnel who know the difference between a lighthouse and an unknown craft find this explanation insulting. The Phoenix Lights, March 13th, 1997. Thousands of witnesses across Arizona see massive V-shaped objects, some reportedly a mile wide, moving silently across the sky. The governor initially mocks the sightings, bringing an aide in an alien costume to a press conference. 10 years later, that governor, Fife Symington, admits he saw the craft too. He describes it as enormous and inexplicable, bigger than anything he'd ever seen as a pilot. The official explanation of military flares doesn't account for the massive structured craft witnessed hours earlier. But the encounter that really breaks the dam happens in 2004. The USS Nimitz carrier strike group is conducting training exercises off San Diego. For 2 weeks, the USS Princeton's advanced SPY-1 radar has been tracking objects dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in seconds. Objects hovering in hurricane-force winds. Objects with no heat signature, no visible propulsion. On November 14th, they vector Commander David Fravor to investigate. The object, white shaped like a tic-tac, about 40 feet long, is hovering over a disturbance in the ocean. As Fravor descends, it rises to meet him. It mirrors his movements. When he tries to intercept, it accelerates and disappears. Seconds later, it reappears at their predetermined rendezvous point 60 miles away, as if it knew where they were planning to go. The radar operator would later state he'd never seen anything in his 18 years that could drop from 28,000 feet to 50 feet in 0.78 seconds. This isn't some farmer in a field. This is the most sophisticated military technology in the world, operated by highly trained professionals, all seeing the same impossible thing, and this time they have the video to prove it. The Pentagon breaks its silence. April 27, 2020. The Pentagon does something unprecedented. They officially release 3 Navy videos of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, their new term for UFOs. FLIR, Go Fast, and Gimbal, videos that had been leaked years earlier, are now certified real by the Department of Defense. The footage shows objects performing maneuvers no known aircraft can achieve. But here's what's really happening. The dam is breaking. We learn about AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a secret Pentagon UFO study from 2007 to 2012 with a $22 million budget. Its director, Luis Elizondo, resigned in protest of excessive secrecy, stating these objects pose a clear and present danger to national security. In June 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence releases a preliminary report on UAPs. Of 144 incidents studied, they can explain exactly one: a deflating balloon. The other 143, unexplained. 18 show unusual flight characteristics: hovering in winds, moving without apparent propulsion, accelerating with no visible means. But the real bombshell comes on July 26, 2023. David Grush, a former intelligence officer and UAP task force member, testifies under oath before Congress. His claims are extraordinary. The US has recovered craft of non-human origin. There's a decades-long crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. Non-human biologics were recovered from some craft. People have been harmed or killed to protect this secret. When asked directly about biologics, Grush's answer is unequivocal. Non-human. That was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program. Think about that. A government official, under oath, with the penalty of perjury, telling Congress we have recovered alien bodies. The response? Congress immediately moves to legislate. The UAP Disclosure Act of 2023, sponsored by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, demands all government UFO records be released within 25 years. The bill includes provisions for government seizure of any technologies of unknown origin held by private contractors. They're writing laws about recovering alien technology. Let that sink in. What the presidents knew. Here's a question that haunts this whole story. What did our presidents know? Jimmy Carter had his own UFO sighting in 1969. During his 1976 campaign, he promised to open all UFO files if elected. Once in office, silence. He later cites defense implications. What did they tell him? Bill Clinton was obsessed. He tasked Webb Hubble with finding out 2 things: who killed JFK and are there UFOs? Clinton later admitted that if the Air Force had alien bodies, they didn't tell him about it, and he wanted to know. Barack Obama on late-night TV in 2021 acknowledged that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. He was being serious, not joking. Even Trump, who had access to our highest secrets, seemed mystified. Before leaving office, he ordered the intelligence community to produce the UAP report that started this avalanche of disclosure. Think about what this means. Either these presidents are all lying, all part of some vast conspiracy, or even the commander-in-chief doesn't have full access to UFO secrets. Which possibility is more disturbing? The world beyond America. While we've focused on American incidents, this is a global phenomenon. France has been surprisingly transparent. Their space agency runs GEIPAN, the only permanent government UFO investigation unit integrated into a national space program. Their conclusion: about 5% of cases remain completely unexplained after investigation. Brazil has declassified thousands of UFO files. The official Night of UFOs on May 19, 1986, saw 21 objects tracked across 4 states. F-16s were scrambled. The pilots reported objects that would approach, then shoot away at impossible speeds when pursued. The Belgian wave of 1989 to 1990 generated over 13,500 witness reports. The Belgian Air Force scrambled F-16s to intercept massive triangular craft tracked on multiple radars. Objects that could hover motionless then accelerate to over 1,000 miles per hour in seconds. But here's what's interesting about the international response. While America spent decades denying and debunking, other nations have been remarkably open. Chile has a government UFO investigation office. France publishes their findings online. Brazil invites civilian researchers to examine military files. It's as if the rest of the world moved past denial while America clung to its secrets. Until now. Skeptics, believers, and the space between. Now let's be clear, not every UFO is an alien spacecraft. The skeptics have valid points. Mick West analysed those Navy videos and suggests the pyramid UFOs were optical artifacts. The go-fast object might be parallax illusion. Many sightings of Venus, weather balloons, experimental aircraft. But here's what the honest skeptics admit. Some cases defy conventional explanation. Even Project Blue Book, designed to debunk, couldn't explain 701 cases. Modern skeptics like Seth Shostak from SETI acknowledge that while alien visitation is unlikely, some UAP incidents merit serious scientific study. The debate has evolved. It's no longer believers versus skeptics. It's, what are we actually seeing? Even NASA has joined the investigation, appointing a UAP study team to develop better data collection methods. Because here's the thing. Whether these objects are alien, foreign technology, or some unknown natural phenomenon, they're real. They're being tracked on multiple sensors. They're interacting with our military. They're demonstrating capabilities we don't understand. That alone makes them worthy of serious study, regardless of origin. Why now? The question everyone's asking, why is disclosure happening now? Some say it's generational change. The Cold War officials who built the secrecy apparatus are retiring. Younger officials who grew up with the internet demand transparency. Others point to technology. Everyone has a high-definition camera in their pocket. Military sensors are incredibly sophisticated. It's getting harder to hide things. There's also the threat angle. If these are Chinese or Russian craft, we need to know. If there's something else, we really need to know. As one Pentagon official put it, we can't defend against what we don't understand. But maybe the simplest answer is that the secret became too big to keep. Too many credible witnesses, too much sensor data, too many questions from Congress. The old playbook of denial and ridicule stopped working. Or maybe they're preparing us for something. The gradual release of information, the shift in language from UFO to UAP, the acknowledgement of non-human possibilities. What if disclosure isn't the end of the story, but the beginning? So where does this leave us? For 75 years, the US government systematically denied, debunked, and ridiculed UFO witnesses. They lied about weather balloons, they ran disinformation campaigns, they silenced whistleblowers. And now they're admitting that yes, there are objects in our skies that we can't identify or explain. Objects that demonstrate capabilities beyond our understanding. Objects that might be of non-human origin. 68% of Americans believe the government is still hiding information about UFOs. Based on this history of deception, can you blame them? But here's what gives me hope. The conversation has fundamentally changed. Congress is demanding answers. Whistleblowers are protected. Scientists are engaged. The stigma is lifting. We may not have all the answers yet. We may never have all the answers. But at least we're finally allowed to ask the questions. And that's progress. Next time on the Rabbit Hole Chronicles, we're diving into one of the most disturbing conspiracies of the Cold War. MKUltra, the CIA's mind control program. LSD experiments on unwitting citizens. Assassination attempts using programmed killers. Destroyed documents and shattered lives. The difference between this and our other conspiracies? This one is completely, horrifyingly real. And declassified documents prove it. Until then, keep watching the skies. And remember, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they haven't been lying to you for 75 years. Host. The Rabbit Hole Chronicles is an independent production. If you've had your own UFO encounter, we'd love to hear about it. Because if there's one thing we've learned, it's that extraordinary claims sometimes turn out to be extraordinary truths.